Good morning, all my crafty friends. Y'all have caught me on a Saturday with a haircut that got away from me. So, we won't dwell on that. I have a project that's not like us at all. My granddaughter's teacher, she's in 1K, asked if I could help with this. Sally's had a rough life. This arm was complete. I did take it off to see how it's put together. These are what they call flange arms. That flange around the edge that you use to secure to the body. This arm's, yeah, it's shot. The legs are in good shape, but they carry it by the arm. So anyway, if you haven't been here before, my name's Stephanie. This is not my usual project. I usually upcycle thrifted items, but I'm still trying to make sure that we keep as little out of the landfill as possible. So we don't want to get rid of Sally. We want to help her out. Again, took the arm off, figured out they're put on with zip ties, little teeny tiny zip ties. So I'm going to start taking the rest of the body parts off, the head, the legs, and the other arm, and I'm going to try and take apart the body and remake it. So we'll see if you get to see this film. My husband has been nice enough to cut the zip ties. You can't really cut them per se. You have to pop the lock on them. Otherwise, you could take a chance of damaging your parts. So he's cut this one on Sally's neck. Let me see if I can pull it out. They made casings for the ties. See, it's just a little zip tie. Let's see what it looks like. Oh no, it is in its own bag. Awesome. Now that'll make it easier. That's her little weighted booty. Okay. It's like little silicone beads. But it's in her own bag. Woo! I am super pumped about that. Alright. Let's get rid of some of the stuffing. Okay. I was going to do Sally in some muslin. But I decided she's probably going to be naked all the time. So might as well do her in something that looks like she might have a little bit of clothing on. So we're going to do this little polka dotted aqua color. It's nice cotton and I'm hoping it'll hold up well. What I've done is I've folded all of the little pieces in half so I can cut them on the fold here. And these are all the little pieces for the doll. And like I said, it's not perfect because when you take it apart, it wasn't great. So I'm just going to cut a little outside of the original cut line. So I will make sure I have enough fabric, and I could possibly even do a little bit deeper or larger seam line. And I'm going to leave the ends of the legs and the arms a little longer because the way I'm going to put this together, I'm not going to use a casing on the arms and legs. I'm just going to sew it straight across and then put the little arm or leg through it. Use the flange to secure it to the fabric. But I'm not going to leave it open and put a casing in the bottoms. Alright, now I've got all the pieces cut. First thing we're going to sew is the little arms. So we're going to take the arms over to the sewing machine and we're going to sew them down the seam that goes under the little arm. So we're going to sew them like this. Like this. And we're just going to sew right down each seam, and then this is what's going to fit in it. And this, just checking, sometimes you want to check, make sure you're going to have enough fabric to go all the way around with the seam, and we will. So let me go over to the machine and sew down these seams first. I've sewn the arms, and what I did is I sewed across the part that the arm is going into, and I sewed down the side. And I'm going to leave them like this, right side out, right side in, wrong side out, whatever. And I'm going to put my little arm inside, flange side first. I'm just going to put it in this little pocket, if it'll go. And I went ahead and double stitched all around the sides, just because the arms get a lot of wear and tear. All right, now we can see the little fist. And the bottom of the arm is, see the little fist? So the bottom of the arm is down here. So that's where I want my seam. Just for giggles, I like to have it down there. And I'm going to push it as far as I can. Make sure it's nice and tight. Okay? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take these zip ties. These are 4-inch zip ties. They are uber tight. And it takes a lot to put them on. I would use bigger ones, but the little lock on this is super tiny, so you don't feel it as much in the arm, and that's what they originally had in here. So I'm not changing that out. It was a good idea, so that's what I'm going to use. Some people use wire. I've seen some, well, I'll tell you the truth, I've only seen 2 videos. And wire and string. So when you put this in, you have to, you see how it's, the lock is up like this? Well, you take it, and while the lock is up, you put the string in from the bottom of that lock. So, but check and see if you have to use these. Check and see what, there may be a different way that yours locks, so just make sure you're doing it the right way. And again, I'm trying to get the lock down here by the seam, and I'm going to put it in. Now, I'm not going to show y'all all this online, on the video right now. I'm going to show you a better shot of it with the leg, and the reason I say that is because this one is going to be a booger to put on, so it's going to take some pliers, some muscle, maybe even my husband, to get it on. And then when we're putting the little legs in, I'll show y'all a better close-up because the zip tie is a little bigger. So let me put these legs in, and then I'll bring you back when we're ready to stuff them and start on the body. Just wanted to show you, once the zip tie is on, like this, see a little lock right there? Then you're just going to turn it inside out to reveal the connected arm to the, or hand to the arm, however you want to look at it. And voila. Now we have 2 little hands with the seams on the bottom of the wrist, and we're going to stuff these. And once we stuff them, I'll go over and baste them closed, and then we'll start putting the body together, and we'll put them together with probably from the front. We're going to sew the bottom of the back and the top of the back together. And let's see, yep, there's the bottom and the top of the back. And this has a little cut in the back that we're probably going to be making to help us insert the head and everything. So those 2, but this is what I'm going to sew the arms to, the front of the little body. And this was originally in 2 parts. It's got a seam down the center. I'm not really sure why. To me, that wouldn't help with any stress, but I could be wrong. But that's the front. I may throw the iron on these to press them flat. And then I should have done that before I cut them, but you know how I am. So let me stuff these a little bit. Got some fiberfill here. And I'm not going to overstuff them because these have to go, they have to be movable, you know, kind of flexible. But they also have to go into the body, and we don't want any more complications than necessary on that. But I do want to stuff them enough where they can take the wear and tear of little people carrying them around, probably by the arms. So I'm going to stuff them a little bit here. This is just some plain fiberfill or polyfill. I think it was originally stuffed with something a little thicker, which is fine. But this should hold up really well, and they can throw the whole doll in the wash if they want, I guess. It's probably what's been done to it in the past, but I'm not sure if that's a good idea or not. I'd probably hand wash it in some light detergent, or some mild detergent, I should say. So anyway, we're just stuffing them to the point where we can still close them up right here. And they've got a little bit of movement. So let me go over to the machine and I'm going to seal this up. And when I seal it up, I'm going to go ahead and attach them to the front. Now, hear me out. This is the part you got to pay attention to. Put them in your hands just like your hands are. Thumbs on top, fists towards the middle, or the inside of your hand, palms towards the middle, okay? And you got to think about when you're putting them on the little body, that's how you want them, right? So you want to make sure you pin them and sew them to the front like this. You're going to sew them to the right side, because when you sew the seam around with the back to put the two pieces together, you'll catch these again. But we're going to baste them to the front. But you got to be sure you pay attention. Fist, thumbs up, just like your own hands, and making sure that they go in the front like that. Attach the arms to the body. And this is just like you would expect it if you were looking at a baby, obviously, or a human, or anybody with two hands like this. They face up like this. So we've got these on the right way. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go take the bottoms, and you see they go together like this, but they go together like this. And the reason they go together like this is to make the little booty. So we're going to go sew this seam here, which will make this pucker out for the little butt. I've got the bottom and the top of the back sewn together, and see how it kind of shapes and makes her little butt. And it also makes the baby doll easier to kind of sit up. And when you put the little beads in there, you know, it gives her little weight. So I'm not even going to worry about the darts that were on the original one. Just as long as she's got the little round butt, she'll be fine. All right, now what we need to do is we need to sew this together, right sides together. Of course, we're going to have to work around the fact that these are really big arms, and we're going to sew them together. And I think the first thing I'm going to sew together is the legs, so we can put in the legs. And once we put the legs in, then we'll be able to sew up the sides and the shoulders and put the head in. But we're going to try and do as much stuffing as we possibly can before we do that, and then we'll finish stuffing from the cut that we're going to make in the back here, like the original one had. And I think I'm going to use good old bias tape to do the collar and make a casing for the zip tie up at the top. So again, first thing we're going to do is sew up these legs and put the other legs in. So all I'm going to do over there is go down the side, down the bottom, and up through the crotch line, again over and back. So it's going to try and do one long seam from one side to the other. But I'm not going to go past this butt seam because I want to put the, like I said, I want to put the legs in first before we go any further. I've sewn from the little crease in the behind all the way down the leg, across the leg, and through the seam. I mean the inseam or the crotch line. And I guess it is the inseam. Oh, it doesn't matter. I also double stitched behind that because this little doll gets a lot of wear and tear. So now we're going to open it just a little bit and we're going to put the feet in. Now, again, this is something we got to think about. And what I have figured out is that the feet have to face the right way going in. So this is the back. So the heel goes this way, like this. So we're going to put it in. Oh, no, got to go this way. Sorry. Oh, and we also got to make sure we get the right feet. So big toe inside, heel back. And we push it in through the little leg. Okay? And when we get it down there, get it all the way to the end. Make sure it's nice and tight. And you've got it all the way down. Make sure you got the flange visible there. Alright, now see it's all nice and tight. This is the heel, this is the behind, and the flange is down there all the way to the end. Let's make sure. Yeah, okay. Now we're going to take one of the bigger zip ties. This is a 6-inch zip tie, which by the way, I don't think you can buy by itself, not unless you do it on some kind of online option. But I went to one of my local home stores to find these. So we're going to put it on again. When you look at it, you see that how that is pointed up. That's the way the lock works, and you point and you push this through the back of the lock, or however your orientation is. Now I'm going to put this in the back of the leg like this, and we're going to push this up through here. You can hear it already starting to wind down. Ooh, my fingernail hurts because I've been pulling these zip ties. I'm going to have a bruise. So I have a pair of pliers here, and I am just tightening these down. I'm pushing on the lock at the same time that I'm pulling up, okay? Because you want these tight. Now that's not going anywhere. And I'm using cuticle cutters. I don't know if I said that before, but they have a curve to them. See that curve? Like that? And it kind of gets deep into my little, let me pull that a little bit more. Alright. It gets deep into the lock so I can clip it off. Boop! There it goes across the room. But now it's nice and smooth, so that's not going to catch our fabric. Now let's check our foot, because we can always cut that lock off if we need to. But here is the start of our body. So we've got 2 arms facing up and some toes on the right side. Woo! Looks like we got it. Good. Now we've got both our legs in. Both our arms are attached. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave it like this. I know it seems funny. We're going to leave the legs inside, and we're going to go ahead and sew up the rest of the side and the shoulder seam. So we're going to go up the side, across this shoulder, and we're going to leave this open, the neckline open. And again, we're going to do it on the same on the other side. We're going to put our arm in. We're going to sew up the side and sew up that shoulder seam. And that will leave us with the neck. Now what I'm going to do after that is I'm going to cut a little slit in the neck like they had, kind of like a little makeshift placket. And I'm going to put bias tape around the neckline to form a casing that we can put the next zip tie in. And that will allow us to put the head on. All right, so let's get the arms out first. Slowly but surely. Remember, we're going to take it all through this neckline. You know what? Let me go ahead and cut that little placket sort of down the center here. Kind of check and make sure I'm in the center. Make sure I don't cut anything else. All right, that's going to be kind of our little placket, so it'll make it easier to get the head on and hopefully easier to get all the arms and the legs out. This is a interesting process that I have never tried before, and I might attempt it again. Who knows? If I have to. This is a remake for my granddaughter's 1K class. All right, so let's just make sure she's facing the right way. That's good. Legs, arms, they're a little wiggly right now because they're not stuffed, but that's good. Now we just gotta figure out how to get the head on. All right, I'm gonna go over to the machine and I'm gonna add bias tape to the top here, which you've seen me do 1,000 times. And I'm gonna leave this slit open, but this is the way I'm gonna close it down. And when I close it, I will just overlap this and catch all the raw edges in my seam and when I hand stitch it. I'm gonna go ahead and stuff the legs and the body and see if we can get this looking like a little doll. So I'm getting the polyfill out. And I have found that over the years that using polyfill, using it in little pieces helps get everything done without getting big clumps in there. But it takes a lot longer, obviously. So I'm just going to start filling. And when I'm through filling, we'll come back and talk about the head. Okay, got her all stuffed. And I tried the 6-inch, and although it fits around her neck barely, it does not fit with all the fabric that we've got involved. So I'm going to have to use the 8-inch. It's a little thicker, which means it doesn't quite go down in the flange as tight as I'd like, but I think I'm going to make it work. So let's see. Got her nice and stuffed. She a healthy little baby. We're going to put the head in, and we're going to put the fabric around. Let's see if we can get this to make sure we got the fabric in the flange and we're going to pull this very tight. And first we're going to pull the fabric. Okay, maybe I should have pulled the fabric first. Okay, that works. And then we'll just have to sew it kind of over it, or I'm going to have to patch something over it to cover up this. Make sure it's tight in her little neck flange. I feel like I'm doing something strange to this baby. Okay, I think it's tight on her. She's facing forward. No craziness there. All right, let's cut this. It's a lot thicker than the other ones. Let's see. Might have to cut this with the regular pliers and then trim it down. Let's see if we can. Let's see, it's got a rough edge on it, so I'm going to have to work on that to get it smooth, because we can't have it rough and it'll tear the fabric. And it would probably poke some little one. Oh, there. Now I got it. Nice and smooth. All right, now I've got to work on sewing up the back manually. I'm going to have to try and work it to where I've got a little placket there, and maybe I can cover over the thing too. All right, let me go get this needle and thread, see if we can sew this up, and we'll be done. All right, I'm over here hand stitching this little placket area closed. It was not easy to start, and it is not easy to do because I made Miss Sally a little extra fat. But I'm just using simple stitches to close this up, and I'm going to close up around this lock as best I can as well. There's probably a better way to do this, but I'm serious. I couldn't find anything on YouTube except maybe 2 videos that even remotely explained how to do this, but maybe I should have done a more in-depth search. So I'm just kind of winging the back stitching. It's not my strong point, hand stitching that is. So I'm going to go back down it a second time just to make sure I've caught everything. I am definitely not a surgeon. Somebody would have a big scar from this. Turn off my chicken alarm. That's my alarm to let me know I need to go put my chickens up. Anyway, so I'm going to continue sewing this up. I'm trying to do something with that little piece right there. And like I said, it's not the prettiest stitch up, but it's still a lot prettier than this doll was. So it might last the kids another year. And that was my goal. So anyway, let me see if y'all can see all over. There you go. There's Sally. She's looking cute. Wearing clothes even though she ain't wearing clothes. Alright, y'all. We will catch y'all on the flip side of our next project.